So people when they're people when they're having degenerate sex, like they turn the individual who's being sexually gratified into an object for sex and their desires, and they reward and they gratify them when they're taking part in the sexual act, but they ignore them when they're not engaging in the same behavior, and they don't reward other forms of behavior. They don't reward achievement in life, and what you end up getting is like these poor people who their whole lives they just only got true attention and love and care when they were willing to put themselves out there for sexual gratification to another predatory human being. And that sexual gratification, it messes with people's minds over time because they're just so fixated on what they're able to offer people in the instant of being nude and being lascivious, um, being lush or what else. Like as people develop, across time and they've had sexual assault experiences onto their minds, they start to degenerate. They tend towards like drugs and partying and sex and instant gratification, and they tend away from college and like careers and life beyond what there's a cool bird beyond what is truly meaningful, or beyond the basic levels of life: food, sex, shelter, things like that. Those basic instinctual urges that make people animalistic, like a very hungry person who's untrained and doesn't have the character to avoid food can be very one minded and can be very ruthless when they don't have their need met, and then they perceive someone else as someone who isn't giving what they want. There's a lot of aggression, there's a lot of desire attached to sexuality and unhealthy relationships. And like this country is full of promoting of sluts. Like a whole bunch of sluts didn't want to feel bad about being sluts, so they started making everybody else sluts. And they felt degraded about their bodies, and they felt degenerated, and they felt like they were worthless, and they wanted to raise up the bar to the standard of quality that would gratify them for what their behavior is, which is just being a sex toy or a sex object for somebody. And making that sex objectification of an individual, it's like you get gratified by men, you get gratified by women for pleasing their desires, their sociopathic instant gratification desires, and it's just a negative feedback loop that feeds in and feeds in and feeds in, and it leaves an emptiness because like that sexual urge, most of the time what it is an urge connected to creativity and building relationships across time. It's an urge to create in the general sense. And when you're sitting around and you feel meaningless and there's nothing going on, it's very easy to just grab your genitals and start temporarily escaping like you're taking a drug. And it's sad, it's debased, it tears families apart, it tears people's psyches, it makes them ignore duties in life. this endless game of going out and having sex with people, and this very one-minded progression of further debasement is a negative loop spiral that people go down without ever having to question it in today's society, because there's so many people who promote the promiscuity so that they have these predators, so that these predators have more lot to pick out of who that they can perceivably have less friction with who they're trying to have sex with. Oh, there's my kitty, Chana. It takes you away from high-mindedness, from well-structured, orderly living. I would say that most people should avoid any high promiscuity sex, that you should have real deep loving relationships, real deep loving sex. But most people are having this sort of, not rape, not quite there, but might as well be rape in the long term sense if you're thinking about the actual consequences of such behavior, of the amount of missed opportunities and diversions from the proper path in life of meaning and joy that one can get from taking responsibility and acting forthrightly in the world. It's going to be a really big problem in the next few years of people just going around and sleeping around and having mindless sex. And it's difficult to know how to handle the problem. Me personally, like, I've experienced sexual comment. At the last place I lived, there was this girl who we only met once, and then she was afraid of me or whatevs, and she from her window she would stay up there, and we would talk sometimes, and she really liked me as a sex object, and she would make fun of me. She would flirt at the same time, and she would like, "Ooh, how beautiful is your body, oh, I love your voice," things like that, just kind of grooming me towards certain behaviors and certain like going out in the backyard and flexing my muscles or whatever, that sort of thing. And I got gratified for that, and that was a really big thing in my life because I hadn't gotten that much attention at the time, and I was sort of naive and not thinking clearly. But with the hopes of having a friendship was what was keeping me clinging on to the gratifying behaviors and attention seeking and all that. But with instant gratification of sex, it makes people sociopathic. It makes people animalistic. It makes people divert from their purpose in life. And it's a bad situation. It's fucked up. You know, so many people just have their lives ripped away from them from sexual predators, just inducing them with lust early on and victimizing them when they're in a vulnerable state where they don't normally get so many rewards. They don't normally have so many achievements. It's before they've had a chance to start their life and live it, usually, or oftentimes. And you just have these people who are lost, and the only thing they know is just taking drugs and having sex and watching random videos for instant gratification, and like, and the more they feed into it, the more they're orientated towards less being able to just be bored and sit down and focus on some long-term work and get something done and achieve something in life. It's not good. It and then there's like, when I hear that people are sluts, then I'm like, oh, you're going down a myriad of weird fetishes that you're constantly thinking about. It's like you put a dick on everything. When someone goes to shake your hand, you think about putting a dick in it. When you see a hair gel, you think about putting a dick in it. When you're frying on a frying pan, you think about putting a dick on the frying pan. Like everything has dicks, and like just the mind is corrupted and everything's sexualized, and like everything's muddled with these dark creepy images, and it's maddening to the mind. Like people go crazy. I think people lose their minds because like they're just disturbed by themselves and all the imagery in their head. Like I used to watch porn, I used to have weird shit in my head, I used to think things that I didn't want to in association of anything that was going on with it. And thank God that I stopped and I cured myself with a lot of therapy and drugs and like just whatever can get my neuroplasticity increased and pursuing purpose in life and all that. But like not now I don't even think about sex at all unless it's like the fucking neighbors having sex and they're like, ah, fuck, I didn't want to think about that. Or in foreboding that the neighbors are gonna have sex. The reason why I don't like my neighbors having sex is then then I'm gonna think and imagine sex, and I'm just like, ew, I don't want to think about that. I'm an individual who's just a virgin and I'm going to stay a virgin. I'm dedicated to God, and I'm dedicated to the Lord, and I'm putting my mind out of the gutter and towards the heavens and pursuing the highest order meaning that I can, that which is a private military company. That's my overarching goal for a business. Not my first business probably, but my eventually I'm going to work up to being in a private military company. But man, it sucks. I'm not getting any views. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I think my titles are bad. But yeah, like psychologically, the sexual instinct spills over into so many things, and degeneracy and aggression and all that. I think it's poisoning this country that all these idiot sluts are promoting sex, sex, sex all the time, and people are like, sex, sex, sex. Oh, I like sex. Oh, I can't get laid. Oh, I don't read anything. Oh, I don't have the attention span to focus on anything. And it's this lack of attention span. It's like I'm writing a thesis. Oh, I'm bored. I'm gonna jerk off, and it's like this creative urge. It's this want to satisfy the meaning in life instantly and gratifyingly, and it muddles over the progression that a normal healthy human being is supposed to be taking in their life. And it's it's just sad. It's really sad. It's sad that there's so many people who have been sexually abused. I've heard myself multiple instances of sexual abuse but was unable to do anything about it because like the cops didn't believe me that I could hear it. They just thought I was crazy, but yeah, like, don't have degenerate sex. You're gonna mess up your life. You're gonna miss out on opportunities. You're going to make your life more difficult. Just like with video games, just like with too much Netflix, it's going to detract you from your purpose in life. But that's it. Peace out.